This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Now, if you're watching on Thursday, you'll have seen me having a little bit of another play with this thing here, the old Line 6 pod. It's well documented that I am not the biggest fan of this. I'm really not. I had two back in its heyday of the early 2000s. The reason I had two wasn't because I liked the first one so much that I got another one. No, I hated the first one so much that I thought it can't be meant to sound as bad as this. It must be broken. So I sent it back, got a refund, bought another one, and it sounded exactly the same. So that pretty much put paid to that. And I thought, right, just not for me. Some people manage to get a usable tone out of it, but it's just not my thing. And then recently, I think it was on one of the Friday live streams, someone suggested, you can pick them up for next to nothing these days. Why don't you grab one and see if it's as awful as you remember? So I did. And to tell the truth, the years may have coloured my judgment a little bit, because when I first tried this out, when I first got it last year, it wasn't as awful as I remembered, and maybe I'd kind of bigged up the badness of it in my mind a little bit too much, but it still wasn't great either. All of the memories of the kind of digital fizziness came flooding back when I started putting it into a mix, so I thought, well, that's that. But then I thought, no, let's see what it sounds like with a little bit of a helping hand from some modern speaker cab simulation, impulse responses, that kind of thing. And that was the little experiment that I did on Thursday, where I paired it up with some of the IRs that are in Guitar Rig and a couple of other ones as well. And it sounded pretty good, I got to tell you. It sounded, very, very usable, in fact. So, as I said that on Thursday, today what we're doing is we're putting this into a mix with some modern impulse responses. And that's what we're going to hear next. Just a word before that, though. The part of Blondie, my signature guitar this evening, will be played by the understudy, this PRS S2 Standard 24. The reason for that is Blondie's a bit tired. She's got an issue with the wiring that I need to investigate. Just fair wear and tear. That guitar's had the absolute living daylights played out of it over the last few years. So it's there's a little bit of maintenance needs doing. And that's why it doesn't. The signature model doesn't feature in this video. It's the PRS instead. And through the pod, it sounds like this. And as usual, you'll find a full tab for that piece of music in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats, along with a clip of me playing it and a jam track for you to play along with it for yourself. All of that is up on my Patreon page. There's the address link in the description, as I'm sure you know by now. $3 or £2.50 a month gets you access to all of these additional resources that go along with these YouTube videos. A massive, massive thank you to everyone who supports me in that or any of the other ways, all of which are also linked down below. Right, a little bit of housekeeping. Obviously, I had all of the cab simulation on the pod turned off, and for the various tones I was getting there for the like the crunchy, power chordy, riffy sort of stuff, I was on the Brit high gain setting. That's where the dials were on the pod, and I had that control room IR from Guitar Rig dialed in for that particular tone, and then for the clean strummy stuff, I think I was on the black panel setting on the pod with the twang reverb impulse response in or cab simulation, call it what you will, in Guitar Rig. Then for the clean lead stuff, I was on the Brit Class A, like a AC30 kind of tone, and I thought it would be natural to pair that up with a British 2B12 cab sim in Guitar Rig. And then for the shouty, solo-y kind of high gain stuff, once again the Brit high gain model, but with much more drive and going through that speaker cab there. So those are the settings I was using. As I say, all of the cab simulation on the pod was disabled, and it sounded pretty good, I thought. There, certainly a usable sound. Definitely nowhere near as awful. Well, not awful at all. It's largely changed the way I think about this humble piece of kit. I can't put into words just how much I disliked this back in the day, and it sort of coloured my my thoughts on Line 6 gear ever since. But you pair it up with some decent IRs or speaker cab simulations, and it's a usable sound, more than usable sound. So that it's obviously the cab simulations in this which I think are the weak point. I think that's the lesson that we've learned today. Pair it up with something a little bit more, up to date, a little bit more sophisticated. Technology has moved on, obviously, and it works pretty well. The interesting thing is, though, that it still doesn't feel like you're playing through a real amp. It sounds pretty good. You can get some very usable sounds out of it, but you still feel like you're kind of playing into something and generate. It feels like you're triggering software in some way. That's the only way I can put it. When you're playing through it, it doesn't feel like you're pushing the front end of an amp in the same way that it does when I'm playing through my current favourite squeeze for amp tones, the Blue Guitar Amp 1 Mercury. That thing there is just incredible. I'm really loving the tones I'm getting out of that at the moment. Amp sims and amp models and stuff. It's interesting how the technology has moved on, because when I play through like a modern amp model, like maybe Guitar Rig or Positive Grid Bias amp, it does have that sort of authentic feel, like you're actually pumping signal into the front end of an amp, and it responds with that sort of beautiful touch sensitive feel in a way that the pod doesn't. It's sterile is how I'd describe how the pod feels to play through, but it does give, as you heard, sounds that are eminently usable. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to keep it as essentially my spare tyre. If I suffer another catastrophic malfunction like I did with a Marshall DSL-1, beautiful little amp, that really love it to bits, until it just stopped working, which was a good job I had the Blue Guitar Amp 1 kind of on hand to step into the breach. But I know now that I've got usable sounds as long as it's paired up with some impulse responses from the pod. So that is what it's going to do. It's just going to kind of get tucked away in a drawer should the need ever arise for me to, should I, as I say, suffer any kind of catastrophic amp disaster malfunction kind of thing in future. I know I've always got something there that will get the job done. And there you go, folks. That is my conclusion on the Line 6 pod. It's pretty good for what it is, providing you give it a little bit of help with some more modern speaker cab simulations. That's what I think now. And that is pretty much the end of the video for today, folks. Hope you've enjoyed it, found it useful, informative, and possibly even entertaining in some small way. And if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not drop me a like as well while you're at it. Don't forget, as I mentioned earlier, we have a live stream every Friday, 5 p.m. UK time, where we drink beer and talk about music and guitars. What a great way to kick off the weekend. I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.